jealous of this short week for you all. This week's video is going to be short and sweet as I have a short and sweet assignment for you. But first, let's revisit a clip that I believe I showed you a few weeks ago about the first days of school with Dr. Harry
The
Wong.
beautiful thing about procedures is it makes the class comfortable. It makes the class secure because they all know what's going to happen in the classroom. And if they know and you know, we can all then move on with learning as opposed to surprises all the time in the classroom. And so discipline has to do with behavior. Procedures has to do with doing. Now you can always spot an effective teacher. You see, an effective teacher manages a classroom. The ineffective teacher disciplines a classroom. So I think you need to sit there and ask yourself, are you managing your classroom or are you disciplining your classroom? Because if you are managing your classroom, you are a very, very effective teacher. And if you're managing your classroom, your students will succeed. For you see, those of us who manage our classrooms for one reason only. We're only interested in one thing, student achievement. And the effective teacher can get student achievement. Why? Because student achievement can be obtained at the end of the school year. Because student achievement is directly related to the degree to which the teacher establishes good control of classroom procedures when? The very first week of school. For you see, it is the procedures that set the class up for achievement. So I'm interested in achievement. I don't want to talk about discipline. So how do I get achievement? How do I teach procedures?
So again, he's stressing the importance of procedures, not discipline. In last week's Google form, I asked you a question. I said, suppose you show up for an interview for a teaching position. The superintendent says, tell me your classroom management plan. Write what you would say to them below. Some of you had some really good responses. I wanted to share one of them with you here. Every morning, say hello to my students as they walk into the door. Then as they sit in their seats, tell them the plan for that day. If someone is not on task, then I will correct their behavior with something that isn't distracting to the class, but is noticeable to that student and get them to stop. I will also have clear expectations, what I expect for the students in my class to uphold. So in looking at your response, here's what I would have you do next week. You're going to model what your first day of school would look like. And so you mentioned in your answer that you're going to say hello to students as they're lined up at the door. So perhaps you're going to have all of us go out to the door, line up, and you can show us what that hello looks like. You also mentioned that there was going to be clear expectations with what you expect for students. And so I want you to model what those expectations are. And so basically your assignment is show us what your first day of school is going to look like. One of you gave me a list of 4 rules and 4 procedures. So how would you introduce that to your students on the first day of school? Consider making a slideshow or a sign. If you need help getting your response that you sent to me last week in a digital format, I can send that right over to you. All I did to make these slideshows or these slides was copy paste your response onto a slide. And that might be simple enough for your students. In Google Classroom, I have an assignment called First Days of School. On the document, it says, it's your first day of school. How will you greet your students? How will you begin to explain your procedures and expectations? You're going to start by creating 3 to 5 rules and or procedures. That's up to you to decide that you plan on having in your classroom. Use this document to list these rules and or procedures. And you can kind of use this document more so to give me an idea of what you're planning. If you don't have everything listed there because you put it on the slideshow, that's okay. But I want you to type something up in this document to turn in for credit. Also on this document, you're going to need to tell me which grade level you intend on teaching. Next, it says that on Monday, January 25th and Wednesday, January 28th, you will introduce your new class to all of us. Consider modeling some of these rules or procedures. It's not required, but consider modeling. If you want to have students put their phones in a phone case, I actually have in the back of my room or over into that other room, the closet as I call it, I have a hanging thing with cell phone caddies. And then I also have, I should have been more prepared, but this is what I use in a normal school year. So I have this where students normally put their phones. There's numbers on it that correspond with the numbers that I don't have on my desk this year. So you can use something like that. if that's part of your rules and procedures. If you're teaching a younger grade, or maybe you're teaching an older grade and you don't intend on having students put their phones up, ignore everything I just said. But I do want you to plan on talking for about 5 to 10 minutes. And my hope is that we can do it all on Monday and Wednesday during the 5th, 6th period. I don't want to do it 10th period on Wednesday because I don't want those of you, there's only like 4 of you here, or 5 or 6 of you here. I don't want you only speaking to some of your students. So we're going to get it all done that Monday and Wednesday. And I will also provide a document under my announcement that has for you to sign up. What I tell you, short and sweet, right? I don't get to see you guys in academic support this week, so hopefully I'll be able to see you in the hall at some point today and say hi. If not, make it a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next week.